Okay, and we are streaming over to Facebook now where we're going to meet our mystery and thriller fans. We're so excited to chat today. And it looks like we are live. Welcome, Mighty Mystery friends, family, and community. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I'm thrilled to host today screenwriter and author Daniel Pyne, whose brand new book, Water Memory, is out today. Daniel, welcome to Mighty Mysteries. Tell us about Water Memory.
What do you want to know? It's a thriller. It's psychological drama. It's got a strong woman character lead, and it also, I like to play with the genre, so it attacks a lot of the conventions of the form, I think.
Ooh, fabulous. So it's being called a fast-paced, pause-resisting thriller that contemplates the consequences of motherhood, memory, and crime as a commodity. Tell us what you mean when you say that it plays with that.
Well, in my screenwriting career, I've written a lot of big action thriller types of movies, and I enjoy doing that kind of thing, but I think that a novel is a place where you can subvert that a little bit. You can play with the conventions of the medium, you can look at things. So in this case, just having a woman in the central role, looking at it through a different lens is kind of interesting. And you can play with the expectation of the reader, having seen that stuff before. You can kind of do a sleight of hand and they think they know where you're taking them and you're not at all.
Oh, I love that. And I want to talk more about your kick-ass female protagonist, because I'm declaring this the year of the woman now that we finally have a female VP.
Yeah.
And so we are here for it. I just want to pause and welcome all of our friends on Facebook. Hi, Amy. Hi, Gail. Gail is saying hello again. Happy Pub Day, Danielle. Welcome back, Gail. She's a top community member here. If you've been here before, you know how it works. And if you're new, welcome. We're thrilled to have you. If you have any questions for Daniel about Water Memory, about his writing process, about his kick-ass female protagonist, go ahead and type them right in the comments and I will get them right over to Daniel. Meanwhile, I know it always takes me a minute to think of questions. So while you're thinking, I just want to ask you, Daniel, why did you want to write a female protagonist?
Well, I've done it before. I mean, Pacific Heights was my first movie, and it basically was a female protagonist. The Melanie Griffith character was the central character of the piece. I've done it before, and I don't know, I had this character rattling around in my head who I became really interested in the new generation of women who have had a little bit more opportunity to go into the military and what might happen to them post-military career, and that they've had more opportunities inside the military. It's just not as much of a stigma. I know it's still an issue, but it seemed like a character that I wanted to delve into and explore.
I love that. My sister's in the military, so
oh, she is?
Yes. And I just want to tell everyone who may not know, Daniel has an incredible screenwriting career as well. He writes screenplays, he writes scripts. So he wrote The Manchurian Candidate, which is one of my favorite movies. Amazing. Daniel, what do you like better? Is it hard for you to transition your brain from visualizing something on a screen to visualizing something on a page? What's that like?
It's difficult. The big difference is concision. I mean, we like to think that we're concise when we're writing prose, but screenwriting is almost like poetry. You have to find a way to express ideas in as few words as possible. Ooh. And scenes are really short. You can't wind out. Everything tends to be crisp and short. So the difficulty transitioning for me from screenwriting to novel writing was really trying to get inside my characters in a different way. In a screenplay, you express it with action, with behavior, with dialogue. And in a book, you can go inside somebody's head and you can tell what they're thinking. And making that transition for me was really hard because you have to learn how to not do that when you're writing movies.
Right, right, exactly. Now, writing your current kick-ass female protagonist, Black Ops specialist Aubrey Centro, what were some of the challenges that you faced writing her? Was it was it you as as a cis male author trying to figure out what it was like to be a Black Ops specialist woman? Was it getting in her head? Was it the physicality of it? Walk us through that
It's a
process.
little bit of that. I mean, I always approach characters as individuals and not as archetypes. So
Hmm.
I'm never really trying to say this person is representative of anyone except themselves. So once I had a set of characteristics for her, it was just a matter of letting her breathe.
Mm,
Um, and I think there's a long tradition of, I mean, I know we're in an era of being careful about cultural appropriation
mhm,
and it's right, but there's a long tradition of male and female writers writing both genders. I mean, Patricia Highsmith is a genius writing men.
yeah.
Um, Kate Atkinson has written a series of novels. They're amazing.
Mm,
And I just I think I've always felt gender is a little fluid.
mm,
So it's, this was a character with characteristics that I could understand.
mm.
And when I got in trouble, I talked to my wife or my friends, or, um, I ask a lot of questions. I
Was
try to get it right.
and did you ever get it wrong? Did your wife or your friends ever say, Daniel, no?
They haven't told me yet, but I may hear. Yeah, I may start to hear some things. I tried to also I try to stay within the boundaries. Aubrey she has a lot of masculine characteristics. I mean, in order to do the job that she's chosen to do, and live the life that she's chosen to live, she has she has certain characteristics that I can identify with. Um, but no, I didn't. It's always a challenge for me to write a new character because they're not me. I mean, I don't, I'm imagining a new person as opposed to putting myself into someone else's shoes and making decisions that I would make.
Yes, that's a struggle for me too, because I tend to project myself onto
Yeah, I
my
think we all do.
pages.
I think we
That's
all do.
that's really hard. One thing that I found really intriguing is that you said, while her memories make her vulnerable, motherhood makes her dangerous. Tell us what you meant by that.
Um, I'm always amazed by the way that professional women can balance um, motherhood and their lives.
Mm,
It's just the responsibility that seems to be it seems to be taken for granted in a way.
mm,
Um, and I think in this particular story, she's a woman who has kept what she does a secret from her children, and now her children are grown.
mm,
And the reason that she's done it is to separate the dangerous world that she goes into from the world that she'd like to have her children live. So their lives have been fairly separate, and now those worlds are colliding, and it makes her kind of hyper vigilant and even more determined to protect them as they come closer to the danger that she's much more comfortable with, much more capable of handling.
mm,
Um,
mm.
and and because she has this kind of weird, estranged relationship with them, they don't understand what she's doing, so they make their own decisions and get entangled in her life in ways that she doesn't expect.
Mm, mm. Why did you want to write this book now?
Now, it was the
Yeah.
next one up. I'm really I'm really a collector. I'm a scavenger of ideas and stories, and I hold them for a
Mm,
while. And I had this character, and I had this notion of a thriller set on a cargo ship because I heard a
mm,
story from a cameraman when I was on a scout who told me about taking a trip on a container ship, which I didn't even know existed as
yeah.
a possibility. You can book passage just like you would on Carnival cruises, except there's no there's no entertainment. The food might be better, but he said it was really quiet, it was really restful, and I kind of got interested in that. And I also had been collecting a lot of information for other projects about the business of high seas piracy and how insurance companies and shipping companies have kind of created a market for kidnapping because they're willing to settle. So there's a whole middleman in the kidnap and ransom business where pirates will take these ships, they'll call the broker will negotiate a deal with the insurance company will pay the money, and the ship gets released. And it's just a cost of doing business. And I found that kind of fascinating.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that part, but as soon as you said container, container cargo, the first thing I thought of was kidnapping, because I actually learned that that this is a real issue, that people are kidnapped actually a lot of the time out of the US Virgin Islands, and they are smuggled on container ships onto the mainland, which I didn't know.
There's that. Yeah, there's that too. Human trafficking. That's a whole, that would be another book.
Yes, it's a real issue. And I had no idea that, that this human cargo smuggling, human trafficking was an issue. And so it's really crazy to think that, it's 2021. We're so advanced in so many ways, and yet we still have issues with high seas pirating. What? I mean, it's so bizarre.
And it was amazing to me to learn that, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but we think of these ships as big and trackable and you know where they are. And the ocean is so much bigger than we can imagine it. These ships can get lost. You could not find them. They're in a sector, but you don't know where they are. And with all the cross currents of international jurisdictions, there is no real law once you get out into the open sea. There's maritime law, but there's not, the United States doesn't negotiate with terrorists. Other countries might, but probably don't. But nobody really has jurisdiction once the boat gets out of territorial waters.
Wow, I hadn't even thought of that. Clearly, you've done your research. Walk us through that process. What did you do for research? How long did it take?
I tend to approach research unless it's a specific subject. As I said, I was working on another project, so I came across a lot of research about cargo ships. From a different movie, I had a lot of information about serial concussion syndrome and the effects of that. So I collect all this information, and then once I'm into it, when I hit a bump, I get books. I either seek out someone who knows about it, or I try to find a book at the library or a book on the subject, and I try to immerse myself in the things that I need to know, and I read about them.
Very cool. Without giving anything away, no spoilers here on Mighty Mysteries, what's your favorite scene in this book and why?
Oh, that's hard.
I've stumped Daniel.
There's a very short chapter. One of my favorite scenes is a very, very short chapter. There's a little boy who's kind of from the village where these pirates are from. There's a boy who tags along with them and kind of gets in their way and gets abandoned. And he winds up on this island. And I wrote a kind of very short, dreamy fable about this little kid and the shrimp boat operators who find him and bring him back. And I really liked it because it took a tangent that I hadn't expected to go on, and it worked out really well because he becomes an important character further on. I do a lot of plotting, but I love it when I can write something that's just language and dialogue and visual.
So we had some questions submitted in advance. So Anne from the Mystery Readers Cafe would like to know, what does your average day look like? So do you rise with the sun? Do you flow effortlessly to the desk? Or what's your writing days look like?
You are looking at my average day, which is, I learned very early in my career, I can't remember who said it, but someone told me the key to writing is not to get up, not to leave your chair, which is, I tend to, once I start writing, I try to stay with it as long as I can, because you can find so many excuses not to write.
Right.
But my days are also, I'm not a morning person, but I had to learn to be a little bit of one to do the film business, because a lot of, when you're in production or you're running a TV show, your days are normal days. You're running with the show, you're getting up when the crew gets up. So I learned to write in the morning, but I tend to write later in the day. But I've found that I don't get inspiration at a specific time. I'm not one of those writers who can start writing at 10 and end at 12, or start writing at 4 in the morning and finish at 10. I just kind of go all day if I can. And I pick and choose my moments, and I may write for a couple hours, and then I'll have to take a break and do some other things. Then I come back to it. So my days are always different, but they generally circle around the keyboard.
Does writing feel easy to you, Daniel?
No, I am one of those writers who loves to write, but it's difficult. Some days you write a sentence and you rewrite it a bunch of times. I'm not I did 5 pages every day for 10 days. Some days are really great, you write a lot, and some days are horrible, and you are trying to decide whether to use "is" in a sentence.
Yes. Thank you for validating that, because I feel all of that as a writer, and it is hard, and it's so thank you for sharing that.
It's a good question, though. I mean, people want to know. I've taught some screenwriting classes, and young screenwriters always think that their lives are going to change dramatically once they become professionals or once they start working. It stays the same. The things you were doing when you were 21 and no one was paying you are the same things you're doing later when you are getting paid.
Has anything changed? I mean, you're super successful. You have an incredible list of movies and books behind you. Does anything feel different, or it really does feel the same?
It gives you a little more confidence. You feel a little less anxious. You don't feel that, but it's surprising how, when I finish a project, I have to start another one, and I face all the same demons again. It's really no different.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because when I wrote my first book, clearly I had no idea what I was doing, and I thought, oh, I'll be so much wiser. I'll be so much more efficient on my next one. Nope. So I'm glad it's not just me.
Yeah, each story creates its own set of challenges.
Yeah. So when people read Water Memory, when they read Aubrey, when they walk away from the book, what do you want them to have learned or experienced or felt? What do you want us to feel?
I want people to, that's a good question. I don't think of that. I want people to be moved by the story. I want them to find common ground with Aubrey and understand her challenges, and maybe be inspired by the way that she's able to overcome them, and the way that she's able to reconnect her family in a way that she didn't expect. I think I kind of admire her for the way that she grows in the course of the book. She finds some peace for herself, but she also grows as a person. By the end of the book, she understands herself a little bit differently than she did at the beginning. And I think that's something that we all sort of strive for and all can identify with.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Now, a little known fact about Daniel is that he has a rescue dog and a turtle. Daniel, why do
Oh,
you have a turtle? What's the story behind the turtle?
when my grown children, when my children were younger, they got a turtle. And you don't think a box turtle at a pet store, and you don't think about it, but turtles live for a long time, longer than rescue dogs. So this turtle, I realized, is 20 years old.
What's the life
I
expectancy?
mean, I don't know how old the turtle was when we got it. I don't know how old it was when we got it. So it's really bored. I wish I could. I can't, set it free. I can't train it to be free, but no. It has a large container, and I feed it, and it goes in and out of its little hidey hole. And
wait, so what is the life expectancy of a turtle? Have you Googled that, or you're just waiting, seeing how it goes?
Could be 50 years.
No,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, so you've got maybe another 30 years with your turtle. What's his or her name?
Paintbrush.
Paintbrush.
My daughter named it Paintbrush.
Does Paintbrush ever make an appearance in your screenplays or books, or will she?
Hasn't yet, although I have to remember either Paintbrush or one of the lizards we had made an appearance in 29 Palms, which is my first book, in the wild.
Okay.
But my dogs, have you ever put your dog in a story? I've never had my dogs in a story.
No, but I think that I should, because I love my dog, Pelu the Wonder Puppy. She has her own Instagram account. Sometimes she does talking dog videos. There's a fabulous app called My Talking Pet. You could do it for your turtle or your dog. You upload a picture and then you put the face points on them, and then they can say hilarious things. And I really can't convey exactly how much fun this is. It's so fun. So Daniel, I am casting the gauntlet. I am casting the challenge. I want to see some talking turtle or talking dog videos from Paintbrush.
Yeah, my other rescue dog had a Twitter account briefly, but that he would post things from the backyard.
Views from the backyard. Pelu also has a Twitter account. Obviously, she's not going to be left out of that.
Oh, wow.
She's feisty, so she's got a lot to say. Daniel, what are some books or authors that you admire?
Oh, the list is long. I mean, there's sort of, the list is long. I mean, I love Pynchon and Joyce. I love Dorothy Hughes and Patricia Highsmith and Kate Atkinson and John le Carre. And I think the writers who've had the most influence on me are maybe Graham Greene, Catherine Ann Porter, Joyce, although I don't write like him, I'm just amazed by him. Faulkner, I don't write like him, but I'm just amazed by his talent. I kind of have this philosophy that all books are thrillers. So almost anything jumps out at me. You want a motor to drive a good story, and a thriller is always a good motor. I mean, Joseph Conrad wrote thrillers.
I love that philosophy. Tell us about the title. Was this your first choice? Did you know it from the beginning? Did you have
No, this was a title. I had a working title, and then Thomas and Mercer weren't really happy with it, so we kind of went back and forth. But that chapter that I mentioned had a reference in it to water memory, which is this kind of strange homeopathic theory that water retains the memory of what's been in it chemically, which it's fuzzy science. It's not real science. But I thought philosophically, the idea that water retains a memory of what had been in it really worked for me in this case, because she's on water she's traveling through water, but also this idea, it just played to the idea of memory and what we remember and how everything that we've done tends to define us, whether we remember it or not.
Yes, exactly. It's like that book, The Body Keeps the Score by
Yeah.
Bessel van der Kolk.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure I'm understanding this philosophy is that, so if something happy happens in the water, then the water has the happy memory. If something traumatic happens, it's whatever has happened, the water. And then if you get yourself in there, if it's not your memory and you dive in there, does it get on you, or how's it work?
It's just that water remembers everything. It's that it is, in the same way that life is sort of a culmination of everything that's happening, whether we know it or not. It's a kind of transcendent thing, and I made it a sort of local cult story, a myth that the local villagers believe in. But it also seemed to apply to what Aubrey was going through, because her memory is slipping a little bit and she feels like it's going to change who she is, and it doesn't really. But that worry is always, I think we all worry about that, that you'll forget something that was really important.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. Exactly. I think memory loss is something that we do fear, and that's certainly, a concern with, I think it's 1 in 2 people will have Alzheimer's by the time we're 80. So it's a legitimate concern.
Yeah. Yeah. And memory is it's such a poorly understood phenomenon. It really is part of what how the brain does it, how it stores memories is still a really new field that is barely understood even now.
Exactly. And actually, my very dear friend, Dr. Lisa Genova, who's a Harvard neurologist, who also wrote Still Alice, which is a book about a woman with early onset Alzheimer's, which of course went on to become the movie, and won Julianne Moore the Oscar, has written a book called Remember, which is exactly about that. It's coming out in March. And it's about the art of remembering, and it's about the brain and the science behind it. And I cannot wait to read it, because
yeah, me too.
Yeah, exactly as you said, it is so little understood, and it's so great to have someone who has that PhD in neurology behind her,
Yeah.
but also speaking, able to communicate to us lay people in a way that we understand, and to make it exciting. I've gotten to read one advanced chapter called Tip of the Tongue Syndrome, about how when you go to reach for a word and you can't, and it's, we all have that moment where you're like, what's that word? What's that word? And she explained it in a way that was so immediately understandable, and now I have that visual. So whenever I can't remember a word, I know what's happening, I know why it's happening, and I know that my brain's going to find a workaround to get to it. So stay tuned for Remember by Lisa Genova in March. So Daniel, tell me, what are you working on now, if we can ask?
I'm actually doing a sequel to Water Memory.
I had a feeling, because it says book 1, so I thought, ooh, more are coming.
Yeah. I had another story that I wanted to tell. It's very different, but also similar in that there's an incident in Aubrey's past that is sort of surfacing again, and she has to dredge up these memories from then in order to solve what's going on now. So I'm working on that. I have a couple of television projects floating around, including, I've been trying to adapt one of my old books, 50 Mice, which is also about memory. So we're trying to figure out a way to do it as a TV show.
Ooh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's about a guy who gets pulled into witness protection. Average guy on the street, gets grabbed by the feds, taken into witness protection, and he says, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't seen anything. And they say, oh, that's okay. We understand if you don't want to tell us right away. We're willing to wait. And he truly does not know what it is they think he's seen. And they put him
Ooh.
in a safe house and they give him a fake family, and he's got to figure out what they want or what he might have crossed paths with in order to get out of this dilemma.
Oh my gosh, I'm so in for that. That sounds so exciting. You know what? Actually reminds me a tiny bit of North by Northwest, that
Yep.
Cary Grant movie, by the Hitchcock movie with Cary Grant, Eva Marie Saint, where, I mean, it's, just the,
Absolutely. One of my favorite movies.
me too, where they grab this guy and he has no idea. And I mean, I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
And for you to take, something and develop it in such a different and exciting way. Oh my gosh, Daniel Pyne, I am staying tuned because I want to see what you do with that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it, but we're almost out of time. So I just want to ask you, is there anything that you wish I'd asked you or that you would like to share with us as we wrap this interview? Because it's been a pleasure speaking with you.
No, it's been fun. I would just say if people want to contact me, reach out. My email is on my website, and I do answer emails. So, I'm always happy to talk to other writers, and if I can give good advice, I will.
Oh, well, actually, what is one, again, you're so incredibly accomplished. What's one gem or several gems that you would like to, that you would share with writers? We do have a lot of writers in our audience. So tell us, what have you learned the hard way, or what's been shared with you that you'd love to pass on?
Don't give up. Don't give up. Write every day if you can, and write for yourself. Don't try to chase a market. Write what you love. If you love detective stories, write detective stories. Don't be afraid of them, but also don't try to write someone else's detective story. Write the thing that you would write. And we can only control what we do, and then we hope that it intersects with a marketplace somewhere.
I love that. I love that. A bit. I think you're a bit of a mystic, or a bit of a yogi,
I'm a mystic.
as
Yeah,
well
yeah.
as well as a I like that, between writing for yourself and letting it be what it is, to the idea of water memory. I sense a bit of a yogi in you, Daniel Pyne.
I
Maybe
like
I'm
that.
projecting. I'm a yogi. Anyway, it has been such a joy having you. I want to thank everyone who's joined us. And don't forget to buy Daniel's book today through our special partnership with bookshop.org, which supports independent bookstores. As you know, we got to give them love. We got to give them our dollars, because one per week has gone out of business since the pandemic. It's too upsetting to even think about, but bookshop.org is supporting independent bookstores. So buy your book today. Margaret will be posting it in the comments. And have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next time right here on Mighty Mysteries. Daniel Pyne, thank you so much.
Thank you.